thank you for joining me again this Tuesday evening. Last evening, we had quite a lot of fun, and here we are again. COVID-19 has meant such a dramatic change for all of us. Introducing new ways of doing things. Protocol has now entered our everyday lexicon. It has become the buzzword of COVID-19. And it's precisely because of these protocols that I'm unable to move around the constituency as I would have loved to. And that is why we are here this evening to share with you, to come right into your home with you and your family, to showcase, to reflect, to account for some of the things that we have done over the past 5 years. Let me thank you for welcoming me into your home, and I trust that we will have a great time this evening. I want to thank the young lady who joined me last week, Miss Hannah Ferdinand. We sure had a swell time, and certainly she's now developed a new fan base, and I want to encourage those of you who are considering joining me in studio to please do so. I'd love to have more people come in to ask me the tough questions like Hannah did last week. This week's topics reflect largely on the issue of farming, of fishing, and you know this wouldn't be complete if I did not include my CMOS farmers and our Rural Women's Network. We know we have many women engaged in farming, but also in agro-processing. By now, most people know of the famous Miku chocolate, which I have done my own little bit to make popular, to bring into your homes, into your kitchen, into your living room, and I trust more of you will give it a go in time to come. I want to begin this evening by thanking the many persons who reached out in the past week, thanking me for hosting this show, but also offering very constructive feedback. I trust that this evening's show will meet some of your expectations, and together we can continue to share our ambition, our vision for this beautiful constituency of ours, Miku North. I want to say hi to Pappy Cowboy, who's tuned in from the UK. I want to say hello to Mr. Bonaventure, to Miss Helen Lewis of Monrepo. They continue to be very grateful for the road that we've done. And to my little angels, my darlings, I do miss the hugs, but we will be able to hug again very soon, the children who call me Aunty Gale. This week's topics mean a lot to us, the people of Miku North, because we are largely a farming community, a fishing community, and notwithstanding the demise of the banana industry in the way that we knew it in the days when it was referred to as green gold, still many of our families are dependent on fishing, farming, and the related subsectors around those two main areas. It is for this reason, therefore, let me begin by reflecting on that long journey we started about 10 years ago when we began the conversation about your vision for this community as it pertains, for example, to farming and the rehabilitation of the feeder roads, agriculture feeder roads, or access roads, farm access roads as we call them. I recall too back then that the fishers in Prale were particularly concerned about their jetty. Since then, a new jetty has been constructed. And very interestingly as well, that we've been able to outfit the area in Prale with lockers for storage of your fuel and other fishing gear. I must say, literally a year ago, I think, if my memory serves me well, we did have a tour of the Prale Fishing Bay, and that proved to be rather useful. Some of these issues and more recent concerns that you have raised will feed into this year's manifesto, and I beg of you to stay tuned as we speak some more about these and related topics. We now go to
Jamari. I would like to thank my district rep, Gale Rigobert, for the assistance she provided me during my time at Salford Community College. Because of her assistance, I was able to complete my associate's degree in agriculture.
Saying thanks is something we've got to say, something we're inspired to say. To someone who has assisted in shaping our education and skills in any way, form, or fashion. It is the least I can say. To you, Honorable Dr. Gale Rigobert, you have helped me further my education at the University of the West Indies, where I studied health and safety. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. To you, Honorable Dr. Rigobert, I say a big thank you. I did my best.
On behalf of the MICU veterans, I would like to extend much heartful appreciation to our district rep, Honorable Dr. Gale Rigobert, for a wonderful contribution this morning after such an intense session, training activity among the MICU veterans. We were treated kindly with a very appetizing breakfast, and we look forward to our continuous relationship with the district rep. We know that she is very committed to her task, and she is going to continue supporting the MICU veterans, and we want to assure her that the MICU veterans will give her the fullest support as we continue to progress for success. Thank you very much.
According to the Chinese proverb, if you are planning for a year, sow rice. If you are planning for a decade, plant trees. If you are planning for a lifetime, educate people. With this being said, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the Honorable Dr. Gale Rigobert for providing me the opportunity to further my education at the University of the West Indies. Never in my lifetime I thought I would be able to say that I am a student at the University of the West Indies, but because of her, I was able to further my studies in supervisory management. Presently, I am doing the advanced part, supervisory management, psychology aspect of it. Dr. Rigobert, I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. This will go a long way to myself and the people of my community. I thank you.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Thank you for joining me in my little corner at home where we can continue to chat. I can share with you what I'm holding in my hand. This is a little memento from our 2019 MICU North Job and Career Readiness Fair. If there's anyone at home who still has his or her pen from that career fair, please bring it into the office, and we have a great surprise waiting for you. As I said earlier on this evening, we will focus largely on fishermen and farmers. And I recall with great pride the frank, honest exchange that we had with fishermen way back in 2010, 2011, when the burning concern for Poilin fishermen largely was the issue of the jetty. And if we are to fast forward to 2021 and to reflect on that journey we've had together, we have been able to respond to many of your concerns. More recently, to address the issue of CMOS farming and ensuring that there is some structure, some regulation, to ensuring that we can coexist. So those of us who want to recreate, who want to fish, who want to farm our CMOS, that there's space for us to do all of these things and for us to coexist happily. In that regard, therefore, let me thank the many residents who came out last year. It was shortly after the T10 cricket tournament was held in Moripo. We had a community meeting at the community center in Prale to engage CMOS farmers in particular. Of course, other residents who are not directly engaged in fishing did attend, and that meeting proved to be so very useful. I must say that since then, we've had some active engagement with representatives of the fisher folk from both the Miku and Pwale area, and to ensure that we are on track to address some of your needs. I want to advise that following a recent meeting with representatives of the Pwale fishermen in my office a few weeks ago, we are edging closer to establishing a management/operating committee for the locker rooms. We need to commission those locker rooms. They've been around for a little while. And last year, when we toured the facility and the CMOS farms with my colleague, Minister Ezekiel Joseph, the minister responsible for fisheries and for farming, for agriculture. And following that meeting, we also met with the Miku Fishermen's Cooperative and representatives from the Pwale farming and fishing community. We've agreed that we will have a multi-stakeholder operating/management committee to oversee the commissioning of the lockers. I know the PS of Agriculture will be happy to hear that, and in the coming days we will announce the membership of that team, which also includes, by the way, representation from the local Miku North Constituency Council. I want to thank all the agencies and their representatives who have agreed to participate, and I trust that we can see some greater level of organization, structure, and meaningful participation by all stakeholders, and to ensure that no one is left behind and that your multiple concerns have been addressed as well. Which now takes me to the Miku Jetty. Since I came into politics 10 years ago, we've heard lots of rumblings about the Miku Jetty, long overdue. Some fishermen believe and villagers believe that they've been cheated once or twice, whereby they were advised that money was set aside and a project earmarked for the Miku Fishing Bay, and it may have gone to other constituencies. That's why I really want to thank the fishermen from Miku Mavle. We merci les pêcheurs pour patience. And when we met a few weeks ago, Minister Ezekiel Joseph was on hand with his fisheries team. We were able to share with you some of the developments, and I have here a press release that was published recently, the subject of which was Japan's grant aid project for St. Lucia's fisheries sector. And allow me to read from paragraph 2, which indicates that one of the priorities identified was a jetty for Miku Bay to increase the safety and ease of docking vessels and unloading fishing equipment and catch. Consequently, a floating jetty has been procured under the program. That means it's been bought, purchased, considered. That is what you will be getting. That procured word is a curious word. To date, the designs and technical specifications have been completed, tenders reviewed, and a contractor has been selected. The contract for supply, installation, and training for the jetty was signed on March 5th, 2021, and was awarded to Future Bud International Company Limited of Japan. And as I explained to the fisher folk and their families on the last occasion, that Japanese contractor will then identify a local contractor with who there will be some level of collaboration to ensure that our locals, our St. Lucians, are actively engaged and involved in the construction and installation of that jetty. So I want to share that good news with my fisher folk in Miku in particular. I know you've waited a long time, especially against the backdrop of what has happened and has been happening with the sargassum seaweed in particular. I also want to say that I know many of us have preferences regarding the engineering of the jetty, what it should look like or feel like. Let's first start with getting a jetty in the first instance, because we've seen too many demonstrations, photos, too much documentation, heard so many stories. I just want to see the jetty for the fishermen in Miku. Punto final, point. End of story. And therefore, I want to thank the Ministry of Agriculture. I must also thank the Japanese for their generosity. It is a gift from the Japanese, from the government and people of Japan. So I really want to express my very profound thanks to them. Nous les validons comme une famille qu'on nous a pensé pour nous dire merci. Même si c'est un petit cadeau, un gros cadeau, n'importe ça, au monde baou, au fond du cœur, c'est pour dire merci. So thank you, thank you, thank you to the government and people of Japan. And I know Go Bakes, Adelina and her family, I know that the Verneige fishermen, I know Kevin, Mervin, all of them are waiting to see that jetty in place. Pope Paul, you will get the jetty. Trust me, it's happening this time. Miss Winnie, Aunty Winnie, the jetty is coming. The Ministry of Agriculture has given us every assurance that the jetty is coming. And I know Miss Francisca would love to see a fancy jetty every morning when she goes to work. So thank you for your patience, and we all look forward to seeing that jetty happen. Let me encourage the fishermen who have not been registered to get in touch with Mr. Hardin. We had a lovely meeting about 2-3 weeks ago. And for you fisher folk who are yet to be registered, please, let's go through the process. Let's get you registered. Teacher Julie, Teacher Skiller, Celsus, Mr. DeRose, all these people who are on the Fishermen's Cooperative team, they're willing to guide you through the process. And I really will. Sewo, who works in the Ministry of Agriculture, lives right there, and she too is willing to usher you through the process, to hold your hand and guide you through the process. And why is that important? For obvious health and safety issues, for obvious regulatory and legal issues, but most importantly, as you would have realized, with respect to benefits to be had because of COVID-19 or on occasion when we have a storm, hurricane, that we always begin with fisher folk who are registered. And so it is very, very important that you have that little card that says definitively, you say, vraiment au péché. So see, gouvernement, si ministre ni pièce cadeau kabay, si vous voulez ba ou anti l'argent pour wanger affaires pour acheter équipement ou ça mouchwe yo on yon ti carte et que c'est au péché. Alors moi vle oui merci tout le monde qui a décidé yo ka aider ces pêcheurs pour yo faire ça. Là nous te chen meeting yon Mr. Hardin te là, la tenel notre mam ministre là qui te décidé nous ça pour une journée peut-être et mener tous ces pêcheurs ensemble et qu'on ça mucho qui mener pour faire ça. Alors moi vle dire merci tout bonnement pour ça. A lot bagay with respect to the CMOS farmers, I recall very vividly that in December of 2016, we had conducted a visit to an agro-processing outfit in Poile that was earmarked to receive considerable funding from the Taiwanese government. I remember Mr. Bonaventure and some of the CMOS farmers had accompanied us on that visit, that site visit. Since then, we've done some remarkable work at the plant in Angers so that there is some access there. We are yet to conceptualize fully and to see come into fruition some of the things that we had discussed with respect to the agro-processing, bearing in mind that it would appear that in the last couple of years, there's been a preference for selling the raw products and not moving up the value chain. And by that I mean not making other products from the CMOS, but rather selling the CMOS in its raw form. I must say we stand ready and we are continuing to upgrade the agro-processing facility in Angers, which is available to us in this district, in this wider region, and also to provide further training. And you will see, given the range of products that you have CMOS ice cream, CMOS with milk, CMOS with rum, CMOS without milk, ginger CMOS, sorrel CMOS, you name it, and it's thanks to the kind of innovation and creativity we can boast of in our community. And I know Fruitsy is right there waiting for me to say something about his assortment of nuts as well. But again, recognizing that we need some further training with respect to processing and ensuring that our items really do get to the shelves. With respect to the sargassum seaweed, we continue to partner with agencies such as Jeff, that works in collaboration with Mr. Dujon, for example, who I've been working with from opposition. He has always come in to collect the seaweed and to convert it to liquid fertilizer. Some local farmers too do plow out the seaweed when we would have taken it out of the ocean, because apparently it serves as very good manure. So I want to encourage all of you, while the stench is repugnant and we really would not want to have to deal with sargassum seaweed, if it is you have a farm, I am well advised and there's significant proof that it does serve as a great source of fertilizer. So please, reach out to my office or Mr. Harding, who's the local fisheries officer, or any of the fishermen corps or representatives, and you can be advised as to how it is you can better utilize that sargassum seaweed, notwithstanding that the stench is absolutely repugnant. The other thing that I would like to highlight is that we are continuing conversations with Sir Arthur Lewis, which previously has held training session for our fisher folk with respect to health and safety issues on the open waters. But we do need a critical mass of maybe 15, 25 fishermen at a time, so that it could be well worth our while to host a comprehensive training program. So we're hoping that when COVID will have subsided a little and we can host at least that many people in a room, that we will unfold, or rather one of those programs will be hosted in the community for both the Poile fishermen and the fisher folk from Micoud as well. Let me indicate that I beg your cooperation, especially the CMOS farmers, that when the officers do come around with respect to regularizing the activities of CMOS farming and enhancing your productivity and, of course, profit margins, that you will participate. And I know people like Junior D. Rose are waiting for that. Mr. Francis, my dear friend from Poile, and some of the fantastic ladies who are involved in CMOS farming. There is a lot of opportunity in that subsector. The important thing is that we work with the fisheries department and ensure that we can all benefit. In that regard, therefore, let me say that in the weeks ahead, you will hear of the persons on the management committee, and we will have some further dialogue with respect to the rollout of the jetty in Micoud village in particular. If you have any questions, any concerns, you know where to find my office. It is upstairs, Saddles Gas Station. Or, of course, when I come to hang out by the sea to get my fish, to pass by Go Bakes for my Creole breakfast, you know where to find me or members of my team. And we can always continue to dialogue and see what's best for the sector. Thank you so much. We now go to a break. Please stay with us. And when you return, we'll talk about some more exciting stuff.
My MP said that we would have a new wellness center. Here we are. It's almost finished.
My community said we needed a new wing to our secondary school. And my MP said yes.
My sister said she needed help to find a job, so my MP created a job fair.
Our athlete said we needed better sporting facilities.
A new early childhood development center.
My neighbors said.
My sister said.
The children said.
Community said.
Roads and a new park. And my MP said.
Yes.
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 Of course.
Nous toutes, c'est yon famille en Micoud Nord. And nous continuons pour faire progrès avec Aunty Gale.
TC.
Rigobert.
My rep. Our rep. Your rep.
My rep. is a working rep.
Yes, she is a working rep. Before the 5 years, my rep has delivered.
3 words to describe her.
Determined, thoughtful, goal-oriented.
We're staying with Aunty Gale. Thank you, Aunty Gale. Merci, merci, Aunty Gale.
Thank you for staying with me this evening. And I move to a very important topic, a very sensitive one as well. And I dare say one that's also very, very close to my heart. As a farm girl, I know what it is like to traverse, to ride on a rickety road to access your family farm. And I know it's not a joyride, it's not a fun ride. And so many of us depend on farming. And it is important to us that we maintain the roads and ensure that they are in a motorable condition. In fact, that is exactly where I started in 2016, 2017. Some of the first projects that we undertook were to rehabilitate farm roads. Rayon, for example, Maho, Des Pointes. And I must say that the struggle is, with the limited resources, do we fully rehabilitate one road and leave the others for another phase? Or do you try to touch on each road, bring it to some level of motorability, make it more passable for farmers? And that, of course, is the dilemma that we face. You would have heard, and I'm sure my colleague minister will, in the next segment of the budget debate, articulate his plans for agriculture feeder roads. But let me say to the farmers in Rayon, in Pelouge, I understand, I feel your pain, I know what you're going through. And in fact, we have started some rehabilitation because following the heavy rains of last year, we know some of the farm roads got a battering. And that is why we undertook the project at Peter Farm Road. We had to restore, rebuild, rehabilitate Peter Farm Road, especially the culverts and the bridge. So I want to thank the farmers there for their patience, Mr. Pat Joseph, Mr. Mangal, and the others who used that road. Thank you for your patience. And I pray that you're happy with the work that we have done there. I know it took a while, but now we've completed at least the first phase. In the past, you and I have collaborated. I remember when I had to put in $6,000 and you put in the rest so that we could put in some concrete strips. I just want you to know that we'll continue to collaborate. But we pray that the day will come when we can do a comprehensive rehabilitation of our farm roads. Linnell, I know it's not easy riding to your farm. Mr. Francis, I've heard you. I know my little friend who lives at the bottom of the road that we just built near Lynch Favre, near Miss Helen Lewis, way in the bottom. I know that some of the farmers there, they farm up in Poilin, and I know I've heard your cries. And I'm expecting that during the next fiscal year, we can address your road. Now, what I really like about some of the proposals that have come to us is your willingness to partner with us. And we have done some of that, especially over the last couple of weeks, while we were reconstructing the Grass Street Road, or Grass Street rather, in Monrepos. We were able to use some of the rubble from that to offer some relief to some areas. Not all the areas have yet benefited, but at least, you know, we're doing a coup de main style intervention before, of course, we roll out the Farm Road Rehabilitation Program. I'm getting a little emotional because I remember the conversation I had with Mr. Botti just before his passing a couple of years ago. Mr. Botti's farm abonné with my father's farm in Des Pointes. Mr. Botti in that area, the Tousse family. The Shalry family has land up there as well. And we all know what it's like. Mr. Keken, who passed away a few years ago, I always wondered how his van made it up there. And that is why one of our programs sought to bring some relief to the farmers along that road. We've been able to bring some measure of relief, but the rains have not helped. I want to say to my classmate, fireman slash farmer on a weekend or when he's off, Ian Ditney, thank you for speaking up on behalf of farmers. And in the next few weeks, we will see some activity. So thank you so much for that conversation. And always, it is important to see the extent to which people are just willing to partner with the government. And I'm so encouraged by that. And that is why we will see some activity in the various farming communities. So in the Maho Road, Rayon, Pelouge, Des Pointes, just to the bottom of Slice Farm as well in Latil. All of these areas, we will endeavor to rehabilitate them in some form. And I'm just so grateful for your level of understanding. I spoke with a young farmer, well, two young farmers actually. General Bakes is one of them. General Bakes, who we know to be a great singer, has now began to farm. And he was telling me about his coal production as well, which is a dying art or practice, but at least he now has the skill sets for those of us who still are interested in this, with, of course, some measure of concern regarding replanting and sustainability. So we had that fantastic conversation. I spoke with a young St. Mary gentleman as well, who just graduated from Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, and he too has gone into farming. We talk about young people in farming, and I'm just so encouraged to see these two young people in their 20s, in their 30s, you know, early 40s, wanting to go into farming. And I want to thank those of you who have waited a little while before you got your water tanks. But thank you for your patience, and I'm happy that you've had some relief. Our female farmers, especially our watermelon farmers in La Pointe too, have come to say thank you. And that's just a fantastic thing when they do say thank you. You just feel so encouraged. I know the St. Mary Road is a St. Mary ring road through to Loba, and there is some farming along there as well. Now you will notice we built the St. Mary Road in phases. We've done the first phase. The second phase is earmarked to begin upon the completion of La Pointe and Monipo roads. And so we'll continue the St. Mary Road, and that will take you into the neighboring farms. So not only will the residents benefit, but those with farms along that ring road, St. Mary, Cooleytown, Loba, in that general vicinity will benefit as well. So let me thank the young lady who told me do not mention her name, but I know it is not easy for your daughter to have to come all the way down there to access a school, and we will see whether it is before September we can bring some relief to the neighborhood, so at least the bus will come closer to her home to pick her up and to take her to the new Monipo Passion School. So thank you for raising that concern. I'm even more motivated to complete the St. Mary Road. Also, you would have noticed that we have started our desilting program, and the most recent being the Trimase bank stabilization exercise. It looks beautiful. In fact, it's almost something you want to stop and peep at. We have begun talks with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Forestry Department, to do some tree planting. And that's something we as a community actually can participate in. You know, that we can say, I was there when that tree was planted, or I planted that tree. As a girl who spent so much time on a farm, I know what it's like like to have your own tree and say, like, that's my orange tree, that's my avocado tree. So maybe we just may invite the sports clubs, the youth groups, youth organizations to participate in that exercise. Similarly, magnitude remains a headache with respect to a comprehensive fix, and Prime Minister and I speak about this all the time. This patchwork, short-term intervention, we know what the problem is. We know it requires a massive engineering fix. And I pray that in time we'll be able to secure the resources to do that. We did get some relief this rainy season, and we were able to minimize the flooding. I think we had a few incidents of flooding, but not as bad or not as severe as in previous years. So I think we're able to desilt just in time, but notwithstanding, while I'm on that, on the silting of magnitude, let me offer my condolences to the Charlemagne family. The family left home Easter Sunday, thinking that it would have been a fantastic family walk out there, to the beach. And Tinun, as we know her, she passed away, so my condolences to the family. I always look forward to seeing her when I go to Magnitude. She's quite a stalwart in the community, so my condolences to the family. So, trauma state stabilization, Magnitude, the work that we've done also near the Poilet Bridge. That river is proven to be a little bit troublesome, but we have attended to it, and I know that Ron and some of the others raised it when we spoke at our last meeting late last year in Poilet. And I want to say that the concerns that you have and the suggestions that you made have been taken on board, and we expect that there will be some proper intervention reflecting those considerations and ideas. One of the more exciting developments we've had in the community is the relocation of Beauséjour Farm to Voilette. And late last year, the Ministry of Agriculture, Prime Minister and I, we toured the facility. It's a very, very expansive facility. It offers much hope for livestock farmers in particular. It's right there on our doorstep already. We have Mr. Doujon has his chicken farm not too far off. And so it has become a little bit of a livestock agricultural hub. And I'm just so happy to see that vision unfold. So for our rabbit, goat, sheep, pig farmers in particular, not only will you have a ready source right there, but you'll also have the technical expertise of the officers from agriculture who'll be stationed there, who you won't have to travel to Viewfort or to Castries to engage with them. They'll be right there on the spot. So that project is nearing completion. I expect that in the coming financial year that we will do the remaining elements of the project, and that farmers in the vicinity will take advantage of that facility, given that it's right there on our doorstep. I must say that some of the structures I saw, those pigs and goats will be living in quite a fancy space, but evidently there was significant consideration given to climate resilience and sustainability, given the designs I see of the building. And I pray that many more of our farmers will consider livestock farming. We know how expensive goat meat is. We know that pork is still one of our favorite types of meat on island. We do have some pork farmers around. We have Popo Willie, we have Ian Downs, we have Mr. Gaston. We have quite a few pig farmers around. We have Marilyn. So I'm hoping that more people will consider pig farming or going into broilers. And in particular, women farmers. We already have women farmers leading the way in pig production, in broiler production in the community. So who knows? They've already done the trailblazing for you, and more women should consider that area as well. So just to reassure you that we are very much tuned in, plugged in, aware of the issues. I thank the many farmers who stop me daily. Goosey, I hear you. I know what the concerns are. And I pray that we will continue to collaborate to bring the necessary relief in the coming weeks. And I want to thank you for your patience. Already we've started the clearing of the road, and in time you will see proper rehabilitation, hopefully one that is more sustainable as long as the resources are available. And that remains the challenge. How do we spread the resources Finley. I also want to mention the East Coast Project that is on stream, and maybe in a subsequent program I will bring on board a guest who can tell you some more about the opportunities available, especially for young, budding, innovative farmers who are considering moving up the value chain, wanting to do some agro-processing, wanting to do some cool stuff like drying, packaging. I met a young, fantastic CMOS farmer from Lapwedge who has gone online with his products, and who knows, maybe he will gift us some items to showcase on our next show. Now we take a break. Do stay with us, and when we come back, we will talk about some of the issues affecting our local vendors, market vendors, especially our women folk. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Amira Serie and I'm a student at the Monipo Pasias Combined School. I'm in grade 6 and my teacher is Miss Stanislas. My favorite subject would be math. I don't normally like it, but my teacher makes it finds a way to make it fun. I also love the positive quote she put up all over the walls. It reminds me to keep going. Also, the new wing is very impressive. The balcony is very large. So at break time, I can eat my snack and, go for a nice little walk. I also like the size of the classroom, so I'm not sticking on anybody because, 6 feet apart. Before, it was a rocky ride coming to school when I normally take the bus. But now, the drivers don't have any complaints now that the district rep fixed it. Before, it was like a rocky, stony road. The road, but now that they fixed it with some concrete and nice tools, it's a smooth ride. I may even fall asleep.
Thank you, Dr. Rigobert.
My MP said that we would have a new wellness center. Here we are. It's almost finished.
My community said we needed a new wing to our secondary school, and my MP said yes.
My sister said she needed help to find a job, so my MP created a job fair.
Our athlete said we needed better sporting facilities.
A new early childhood development center.
My neighbors said.
My sister said.
The children said.
Community said.
Roads and a new park. And my MP said.
Yes.
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 Of course.
Nous toutes, c'est yon famille en Mikoud Nord. And nous continuons pour faire progrès avec Aunty Gale.
And I hope that, like me, you do have a well-chilled CMOS drink waiting for you in your refrigerator. CMOS has become the new miracle food. There are so many health benefits. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, when I was next to Martelli's food bar, a gentleman stopped me and said to me, Auntie Gale, you know, sea moss is good for everything, you know, because I guess he saw me twisting my ankle following my little injury last year. He says, you just need to drink some sea moss. And I'm like, really, sea moss? And for joints and of course I was being facetious, but it was really just to egg him on and to encourage him to share his knowledge with me. There are tremendous health benefits to sea moss. I'm sure Ms. Greta, Brother Bonaventure, Fruitsy, and all the other fantastic ladies involved in sea moss production can tell you of the health benefits. I had that conversation with teacher Julie, who herself is a food and nutrition teacher, and she was so proud to boast of the benefits of sea moss. So let's make sea moss our drink of the week. And there are several suppliers on market. I won't venture to say which one I prefer because I love them all. They're from my constituency. Which takes me to the issue of village tourism or heritage tourism. There is so much that we have to offer in Mico North. I remember my first manifesto back in 2011. One of the things that I used to talk about on the campaign trail is the extent to which Mico North can be dubbed the cultural capital of St. Lucia. Okay, je babo no, je vie for no, you lady say, yo, no. The queen of culture comes from Comin Sessen right here in our constituency. And that is why the projects that are being laid out are really feeding into a wider vision. So with respect to heritage and village tourism, cultural tourism, you will recall a couple years ago that Sessen Descartes' house was earmarked for the Violin Festival. So we laid that first piece of concrete road to facilitate the traffic. And then as we talk to sea moss farmers, chocolate farmers, the arts and craft ladies, Lynn and her lovely bags, I mean, can we find a space where they can showcase some of that? And, you know, the Friday market in the village, and when you go to the fishing stalls in Poile, what can we do to create that space where not only people from our constituency, but tourists, people from other parts of St. Lucia, when they come to our constituency, they know where they can go, be it for cultural artifacts, for our local cuisine, something which is authentically St. Lucian and certainly authentically from Mico North. In that regard, therefore, I recall the conversation that I had with the coconut vendor near Mr. Jeffrey's place, as we still call it, notwithstanding Mr. Jeffrey has passed on now for a long time. But, you know, where can we identify within the community that really brings people together for that purpose, for vending, for showcasing their local products, their art, their crafts, their, you know, their fudge, condiments, sweets, whatever you want to call these things that are fantastically unique to Mico North, such as our chocolate and our sea moss. I mean, there's no other flavor like our flavor anywhere on island, and that I don't think can be disputed. So that conversation is continuing because we need to identify in the various sub-communities. If you go to Poile, you go to Monrepo, you go to La Pointe Patience, where is that hub? So is it that La Pointe Patience will be the cultural hub? Do we make the Poile area the fishing hub of some sort? Do we have a more eclectic or mixed offering in the Mico village? There's so much on offer. And as I have been moving around, the conversations are evolving. I don't know whether you recall when the farewell ceremony was held for Dame Sessen Descartes at the then Patience Combined School. These are some of the conversations we were beginning to have. I remember that under the King administration, we had started a conversation about, you know, a museum, a space where we can experience Sessen's music, a space where we can learn the folk dances, that we can partake in the local Creole cuisine. I mean, Rose Medina is already there and has a hub. That is fast becoming a hub in the area. So I really want for us, in the way that we had discussed sports, for example, and identified Wen Playing Field as a cricket hub and Mico as a football hub, can we do something similar with respect to the cultural and heritage tourism? Are there spaces around the constituency that can specialize in certain activities, foods, products, and showcasing parts of the culture? So as I brainstorm the manifesto for this election. It's one of the things that I'd love some more feedback from you, because as you know, whatever goes into the manifesto really is coming from the people for the people and will be done by the people and to be enjoyed by all of us. Parce que nous tous c'est une famille, amico, non? Nous tous c'est une famille. We do it together, we live together, we pray together, we play together, and we develop together. So I really want to thank those of you who've already shared your vision with respect to what should obtain as it pertains to cultural, heritage, village tourism, whatever combination of these words you want to use, but really showcasing that which is from Mico North. We have the botanical gardens in Mamico. We have Latil Waterfalls. We have La Pointe. I mean, the view from the end of La Pointe is just so fantastic. You go up to Loba. If you do the ring road, when it will be constructed and fully motorable, I mean, the view from the top of that area that you go up that ring road, and it's an amazing view of the community. And so we are all encouraged. How do we maximize that offering? And, you know, so many of us take the sea for granted. We take the view for granted because we grew up by the sea. We went to the beach and the river every day. And so it's not fascinating to us in any way. But we are sitting on a pot of gold. And I really want to see many more of you participate in defining exactly what that product coming out of Mico North will be, because it will be your product, our product. It will be reflective of who we are as a people, the things that we are known for in Mico North. And of course, let us not forget Guamuntime. Let us not forget our folk dancers in La Pointe, Monipo Passias. We've got to bring it back. Melisha, Teacher Flora, Elsa, I'm putting you on notice. We need to revive our folk dancing in the community. Even I will participate. I'll learn a step or two. But we need to preserve our culture. We need to preserve that which is uniquely ours. And it is the least that we can do in honor of, you know, our brother, Mr. Martelli, Cécile Descartes, all the other cultural activists, Ms. Gaston. And we are nearing the end of our show. And what a perfect note on which to end our independence poem produced by our locals right here in Mico North. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me in my little corner in my home, and see you next week. And I think it's an earlier time of 7:30. Stay tuned, please enjoy this poem. Every time I see it, it brings me to tears. Enjoy. And stay safe, please. Wear your mask, maintain social distancing, and we continue to pray for you. Thank you.
I am she, I am he, I am me, I am we, moi c'est nous toutes. As sure as the morning sun will blanket and then engulf the hills and the valleys, I know I will persevere. I always have and I always will. Paski Allah would say che, and hat is me that have that. For decades, I have awoken early. With the morning sun on my brow, I have collected my things, my tea, my cat clue and my fork. Me and my sons, my daughters, my dog and my mite, and we have walked. We have walked and we have run. We run the many miles it took to reach that place where the soil was rich, that place where we were to plant, that place where what we plant would grow. I know the smell of that earth all too well. I know the feel of that earth, for I am that earth.
Well, I'm a farmer. I've been a farmer for the longest while. I was an extension officer. The fact that I'm growing food to supply the nation, to give the people around, that alone makes me feel very good about the farming.
That fertile fortress from whose bosom we have filled our bellies. We have peddled it too. We sold it, green, golden and grand, beautiful and majestic in the midday sun. For perhaps always see, you work the land on which you are born, and that is how you grow. And grow we did. He, she, me, noted.
Right behind me there, where I'm sitting there, is the press. That's where after you harvest the cassava, you grit it, you press it, you put it in a bag. So you have that process, you press it. And after it is pressed, you take it to the house where you sift it. You have a sifter where you sift it fine, and then you put it in the caron. That's the platin. That's what we use to make the fluorine.
Mama told me ever since when that life is neither predictable nor always rosy. So, as the green faded and the roads lay forgotten, I lifted my eyes to the east, for I still can see. I see the sea beautiful. It is purple, golden, green, fish and simos? Simos, yes. Healthy, hearty, handy, just in time too, because it will go well with my chocolate that I with my own hands learn how to make from my own cocoa. I will pursue them. I will endeavor. I will not stop because I will persevere and I will grow new tooth. She, he, me, we. And all the while I keep singing. I sing and I dance too. Sometimes my middle even split. And while I have found fame in sports, I am also known for my service. So as I jump, I kick, I bat and I bowl, I protect and I serve and I teach. And yes, I am still running. I run, not just because I can, and God knows I can, but because it reminds me too that from Prowling to the Chumasi, everything in between is me. All the work is mine. All the joy is mine. And the tears, they are mine too. I still have strength. I still have pride. And although I have changed with the seasons, my essence persists. My culture resists and fights for its life. Parce que nous toutes ces mêmes. I am he, I am she. I am me, I am we. Now this is 2021, unprecedented. A time of uncertainty, that's understood. A time of fear and of loss, but also a time for faith. I will lean on that which we have already built. He will stand, she will rise, we, nous toutes. Piti épigouin. Jaune et rouge. Nous toutes ces chrétiens, we will do it. We will ride that wave, not just because we want to do it, but because we dare to do it together.